All right, I think we're on.
Howdy, everybody.
Hey, Josh.
Hi, everybody. Looks like we're slowly getting a few people here. Let's see. Rose has been in here for a while. Hi, Rose. Pratnya. Hello. These folks can all chat me. Oh, hi there. It's going to take me a second while I get used to this. Shodo. Hi. Am I pronouncing that right? Shodo? Pratnya from Los Angeles. Hi, Pratnya. I'm not sure what the attendee list side looks like, but you guys could send me chats if you need.
That's perfect. Let's give it one more minute or so,
Yep.
and then we'll get started.
Imagine it takes a few moments for folks to go. Hello, Vanessa. Hey, Rose. So I guess I'm just going to wait just a little bit longer, see who else shows up. Take some folks some time. Do I hear a low battery in somebody's fire alarm? You hear that? I hear it.
It's at my house. It's been going off for 3 days, and I think it's my neighbors.
Oh. I have the same situation over here. Eventually the battery died completely on us and it stopped.
Yeah. It's funny because I haven't heard it for 2 days because I internalized it.
Shodo's asked if she could speak. For now, we're having people ask questions through the chat. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. There we go. I forgot to put that up.
The photo.
I don't know how to do photo.
I'm wondering that myself.
I guess we can get started though. I'm gonna take it from you, Josh.
Go ahead.
Thank you for holding us. Hello, everybody. Let's do a quick wave, and audience, we're gonna to keep bandwidth low. We're gonna take ourselves off of video, but we just wanted to say hi and show our faces. So presenters up at the top. You guys all know how to do this. So you just stop your webcam. So, but we're gonna move on to voice.
Hello.
Do you know how to do it? There we go. Well, welcome everybody to our March webinar. And this month we have a staff TPP Pollination Project staff insight panel. And our topic, it's a very general topic this month called Patterns of Successful Projects. And really, I just wanted to bring in some different voices of people that work for TPP and do many other things. For those of you that don't know, my name is Nicole, and I've been with TPP for about 6 months on staff, but a volunteer for several years. And we have support, behind the scenes support from Joshua, I don't know how long you've been with TPP, a year, since the start, I think.
A little bit short of the start. I've also, like you, I contracted shortly for about 2 years, and now I've been full-time for about 4 years now.
Wonderful. So thank you for supporting your Yeah, thank you for supporting us. And Joshua's going to be checking the chat window. And if any of you have any questions while we're speaking, we have time at the end to have those questions asked. And Joshua will relay those to us or ask us at the very end when we have about 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes or so left. But in the meantime, please send any questions you have to the attendee chat. And thank you, Joshua, for helping us out behind the scenes today.
Happy to help.
And let's start by introducing our three panelists. We have Jamila Banks, who, Jamila, I had a hard time tracking down what your official title was. And so I put applicant support, but I also know you just do a ton of stuff. And I also know you just moved. And I couldn't remember, and I was like, I know she's LA. She's in LA, but I know you just moved. So we have Jamila, okay. I'm going to have you introduce yourself in a second. I'm going to just do a quick rotation. And then we have Milena Fraccari. Did I say it right, Milena? Oh, we might have missed her. And Milena does web and graphics and lots of other types of support for us all. And she is based out of Italy. And then we have Selene Gonzalez Carrillo. I think I said that. So I always have trouble with the double L's, Selene.
There's also another R, so don't worry. It's Carrillo, but most people do whatever they want.
Thank you I'm going to check because I copied and pasted that from our staff list, so I'll go and edit that document.
Yeah, now you see what I struggle. Yeah.
And I also had a hard time tracking down exactly what your title is, so I put in there that you're special projects coordinator of many. I had a couple different things where I had like master of many things.
Assassin is my preferred title. Assassin. So I'm just kidding.
And her home base is in Guadalajara, Mexico. Just as an FYI, Joshua is in Oregon. He's moving soon to, I believe, Texas. I am in Hawaii on the island of Maui. So we have a very international and diverse staff in locations and backgrounds. And we're going to jump right into questions for you all. The first question really just, oh no, I think I messed up my slides. The first question really is if you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do at TPP. And if you want to add in how else you spend your days besides working on TPP, that would be great. Any one of you that wants to start, go ahead.
I can start. This is Jamila.
Great, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So my name is Jamila Banks, and I actually just moved from Los Angeles, California to Hemet, which is in Riverside County, still in California. I am the applicant advocate at TPP. The reason why, Nicole, you're having a hard time finding my title is it has changed many times over the years since working with TPP. But currently, as the applicant advocate, I review all the United States applications that come in and pre-screen them and ask them questions and get them ready for our panels for review. I also monitor the inboxes that we have for general questions and for references. And then I also build the application panels that go to the panelists to review the dockets that have the applications on them. So that's kind of what I do right now at TPP. Beyond TPP, I'm also an executive director of Foster and Banks Walk in Faith Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit that works on social services in Los Angeles and Riverside County. And right now we're focused on our environmental initiative, which is going out and beautifying the community through cleanups and mural painting and garden building and just increasing environmental awareness and advocacy in the community. I do that, and then I'm also a therapist, and I work in 3 group homes, group homes in Riverside County. So my days are pretty busy work-wise, and then I'm also a mother of 3 and a wife. I became involved with the Pollination Project in 2013 when I applied for my first seed grant for my Environmental Earth Club, which teaches inner city kids how to go green and become environmental stewards. And my daughter, who's actually 12, she runs the Earth Club, and she's also a Pollination Project grantee. And that is a little bit about me.
Love it. Thank you. Applicant advocate is way better than all the titles that I found. We're going to update our list too. Thank you so much for sharing that. And we'll move on to Selene or Milena.
Okay. Hi, this is Selene. How is everyone? I'm sending everybody greetings from Mexico. So, as Nicole mentioned, I'm Selene Gonzalez Carrillo, and I am a special programs person thing. So what that means is that I do normal things for applicants internationally, meaning I help out with pre-screening. I work with Jamila to make sure that all the applications that we receive get the first layer of pre-screening, that, you know, it's not a robot that's sending on an application, first of all. And then second of all, to make sure that the application that is being sent, when the application is being sent to the next round, it is a strong application. So if there's some information that we feel is missing that we can anticipate would help our panel who reviews each application, the international team, we want to ask and have a conversation with the applicants. So I helped Jamila with that as well. And so that's a lot of fun. And then the other role I have in TPP is with the special programs. So if anyone who's visited our website, you will know that we have programs, special programs such as the youth program, the International Animal Welfare Program. We have the East Africa program, and we're starting a new one this year called the Kindness Program. We have the California Youth Rising Program. So we have these special programs in addition to the general funding that we do with our daily grants every day, year round. And so I help the local teams for East Africa, the youth leadership and youth kindness, and I work with the local team members to ensure that they have the tools necessary to carry out their respective responsibilities. So that's a lot of fun for me. I get to talk to people all over the world and be a great support for them and make sure that, you know, whatever they need, if I can get it for them, I will get it to them. So that's what I do for TPP. I'm also TPP's in-house comedian. There's competition. Other people claim that throne, but I like to joke around and be very, I think I'm funny. So that's another role I don't get paid to do, but I feel that it's a service I provide. And then what I do in my spare time, or besides TPP things, is I live in Guadalajara. So I just finished a master's in environmental education here in Guadalajara. It was a 2.5-year program. I'm very happy with it. Right now I'm in, post this master's, trying to turn my thesis into some sort of publication. I'm also working with a collective, which I got funding for from TPP. We also do environmental work here in Mexico. I'm very fortunate that I do not have kids, because I think my life it's a lot of stress. And so I'm always amazed at how Jamila can handle everything. And the collective that I work with, it's a collective, so I don't feel, I have some responsibilities, but it's not not entirely in charge of everything. I'm in charge of the environmental education component, but then my other team members, they like to focus on bicycles or our online guide of sustainable products in Mexico and Guadalajara mostly. So those are the things I do with my spare time. And of course, I always go out and get a little of a tan if I can, because we have a lot of sun. So that's me.
Thank you. I would agree. You do have competition, but you definitely are in-house comedian. Agree. Thank you for sharing that and everything else, Selene. Milena, come on in. Introduce yourself.
Yes. Hello, everybody. This is Milena from Italy, and I'm working as a web and graphic support, as you can see, and posting projects on our website, choosing the best images, checking grantees' websites and social media, stuff like that. Besides TPP, I am a web and graphic designer with a background in advertising and communication and a big, huge passion for nature. I had a lot of experiences in environmental activism, and that's my one of my main things. And I jumped in TPP 1 year ago, even if I know TPP since the very beginning. And I started to follow TPP around, yes, a little more than 1 year ago. And then I saw this announcement on Facebook. They were looking for a graphic and a web support. And I said, yay, that's me. So I had this great big need inside myself for, being back in environmental and activism and make the difference. And so the TPP represented a very good opportunity, and it's with me day by day now since 1 year. And I'm very, very happy to be here.
We're extremely happy to have you here too.
And I'm sorry for my English, but I would be better in Italian, but that could be a challenge for the rest of you.
There are a lot, and actually this is a really great, I'm glad you brought that up, because we do have a volunteer group of grantees that are transcribing every webinar so that people can read it and translate our webinars into their first language. So you're not the only one, and we're hoping to become better at making this webinar more as accessible to as many people that speak as many languages. Thank you for dealing with our very fast speaking English as well.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to jump into our topic, which is patterns of success that you all have seen. And I think I had sent you a list of questions, but I want to actually move one of those questions to the top first, because I think it's important to kind of talk about what you all think is it. How you personally define success when you're thinking about grantees and just the work that those that are connected to TPP are doing. How would you define success, and is it even possible to define it? It might not be, but I'm wondering about that. And any one of you just jump right in, and we'll start the conversation.
Okay, I go.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, my perspective is, it's particular because I don't usually talk to grantees, or I just know the grantees, the project in the moment they are already a TPP project. So I just see a description and few words, images, their websites, their social media. So I can just pick my idea of success from a communication point of view. And so success, in my opinion, lays in the ability to share a project, a story, in a way that allows to involve, as we always say in TPP, different forms of capital. So, not only money, of course, fundings are important, but also, experience, new things to learn, new people to know, to be involved with, and new people that can share our story. So the way we are able to communicate our story, our project, our vision, our commitment, that's the way to success, because we are all connected, right? So if it's true that we are all connected, there's nothing like, a local project. A project cannot be a local. It is something that can be useful for others too, so, and these allow the project itself to grow. So from a communication perspective, that's the success, in my opinion, is the ability to communicate.
Thank you. I love that. I appreciate that perspective so much, and we don't hear it as often. So thank you for starting us out in that conversation. And Jamila or Selene, how do you define success from your perspective?
Hi, this is Selene. I really like what Milena said, because I feel like it ties into my definition of success. And I think it's, success in the world of TPP is different, I feel, from the normal ideas that we attribute, or when we think of success in the other world outside of TPP. Because I think, in TPP, what's important to us is communication and information and the relationship with our grantees. So what happens when a grantee encounters a situation, an obstacle? What happens when a grantee ends up failing, not because it's a bad thing, but something they had planned doesn't go according to plan, a mistake has been made. In other words, when the real life meets the intentions and the beautiful plans that we make, I think that how we deal with that, how we mitigate, how we manage, how we interact with that situation, I think is what defines success for me in TPP, and in my personal life too. So I always admire TPP grantees who reach out to us and talk to us and explain what's going on, and we work together to find solutions, because there will be bumps on the road. There will be situations you don't anticipate. Last year, for example, in East Africa, we had both in Uganda and Kenya political uprisings or political situations where we had to revisit when we would expect certain deadlines to be met, because, there was turmoil and people were being hurt. And so we wanted to make sure. So we built a relationship with our local leaders there, where they knew they could reach out to us and say, you know what, I don't think that A, B, or C can happen right now because this is happening. And then we could have a conversation. Do you think that this could happen, or how far can we go based on what's going on? So I feel like that was a success. It was a success that a situation happened and we were able to communicate and share and maintain an open channel of communication, and a channel of communication that is very, very compassionate and polite. I've never met a TPP grantee who's been rude. But then again, we ourselves as a staff, we try never ever to communicate with grantees in a way that is disrespectful, because we understand, not only English not someone's first language, but we don't know the entire story. So it's better to assume, or to give people the benefit of the doubt. So that is what success is.
Thank you, Selene. Perfect. Jamila, do you want to jump in on this?
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because my connection sounds kind of.
It's better now.
Okay. So over the years, my definition of success has changed, and I guess it's changed and grown and just different experiences. But in regards to success, seeing grantees succeed or success, and seeing actually grantees that I know in the community with their work, I would say my current definition of success is really the journey of building your own identity by achieving your own milestones and not the perfect achievement of it. Of course, success includes meeting your goals and outcomes and did you do what you say you're going to say? The standards, measures that we use to measure success. But really, I feel like embarking on anything that has a possibility to help someone or something outside of yourself is a success. Not even measuring the outcomes did it do this, but just the act of being and the act of sharing. So for me, success is just about the journey of whatever path that someone is on.
Thanks, Jamila. It was hard. We had actually, I think we're all having an echo. I'm not sure how to fix. Actually, I'm going to. I'm actually gonna ask all the presenters to mute your mic for a second, and then let's see what happens. So if everybody can mute their mic, and then we'll see if it happens or not. Oh. All right, I think we're better. And I think we're all fixed. Thank you, technical guy Joshua, for helping us with that. Thank you, Jamila. I think we're gonna have to come back to your answers. I found a few. I could hear a little bit of what you were saying, and I want to come back to it if we have time. But I want to jump into our questions. Some more questions, kind of based on what you guys just shared. Some of you shared some examples and have your own examples as well. I'm wondering, do you have any specific stories of grantees that have stood out to you over the years? And why did they stand out? And was it, I think Selene talked about failures and, perceived failures and mistakes. So it's not just success in itself, but, who stood out to you and why? And we'll take the conversation there. So any one of you. Remember to unmute yourself too, if you're going to talk.
Hi, sorry, I had to log off and log back in. I had some audio problems. So the question was about which grantee stood out to us and why?
Yes. So over the years, what grantees have stood out to you and why? What inspired you, or just how they've handled? I know, Selena, you shared a little bit about mistakes and failures and how they've responded. So, any stood out?
Maybe right now I could talk about how I don't think, mistakes are everything. They're just a part of life. But some of the grantees that really stood out to me are those that are curious by nature, who, aren't satisfied with just accepting things as they are. So they will ask more questions. They will explore new ideas. They will take chances. And that is so exciting. And it's really exciting to see people who think, oh, I'm just going to, I remember there's this grantee we have who will be joining one of our teams. Her name's Laura, and she does something called the Smile Project, I believe, or Happiness Project. Happiness Project. And so she was just talking to me recently. And when I was talking to her, I could sense that she was still thinking of new ideas and new things, and maybe I could do this, maybe I could do that. And that to me stands out a lot, that, when grantees still have that passion to want to find new ways of taking whatever the original intention of their project was, whether it was to bring a bit more happiness, or if it was about, helping with an environmental thing, or if it was education, but they're continuously renewing something. They're continuously being creative. And I think what I like about that is that you can hear it in their voice, that they're so happy. They're happy that they are exploring and thinking. And I love it when they reach out. Like when people just reach out to us without any, we don't have to say, oh, please talk to us. They take it upon themselves, their own initiative, to say, hi, I was just wondering. And I love that. I love that lack of shyness. And obviously we can't help everybody immediately, or we can't do everything. But I think once you plant the seed, sort of like TPP, once you plant the seed of an idea, you never know what will happen a year from now. So if, someone might say, well, I was thinking of doing a podcast, but I'm not sure. But it would be a great idea. And then a year from now, we find a project, someone's helping people create podcasts. We want to then connect these two individuals, because then that little idea is out there, so it's better to know. And so those are the TPP grantees that stand out to me, the ones that are continuously curious and innovating, and are just continues to be excited about their project. And yeah, of course, like Milena probably will say, you can see it in how they share online. And that's really important, because online is that is the only platform we have in order to know how people are doing, what's going on. It's the fastest way, and especially since we're an international funding organization, it's the ideal platform for us to see what's going on. So yeah. That was what I wanted to share. I don't know if I said that all muted or not. So. So I don't know, maybe Jamila, do you want to go next? Oh no, you, or was it Milena? I can't remember.
I think Milena.
Yeah, Milena.
Yes. Yeah, this is Milena. Well, I don't have a grantee in particular, a project in particular. I just like I just like to see to get all the inspiration and courage and vision that every project carries in itself, and I'm very curious about how they share. Of course, they share their project and the world. I mean, I'm curious about how they share their project first in their community, and then how they open their project to the world. I just like to go and check on their website and see, many of them, for example, are paying a lot of attention to the donate page. But, donate I think it's just the last step of a process. So I'm much more interested in how they guide me to the donation page. So how they're able to have me involved in what they're doing, in the stories that they have to tell, and examples of the impacts they have on the, on the community and people's lives. So it's difficult to pick one. It's difficult to pick 10. I would pick all of them.
Yeah.
So they're all source of huge inspiration, really, really. And yeah, but it's difficult for me because I don't have a direct relation with the grantees.
Right.
It just,
Well, I want you to know, Milena, why I knew that going into this conversation, and it's helpful, I think, to hear, because not everybody on staff has a direct link to conversations with grantees. And I think it's a good viewpoint too, though, because that then makes you a little bit more like a donor or a volunteer, and it's a really effective, right? So for me, what I'm kind of pulling out of what you're saying is that putting time behind telling your story is really more effective than spending hours creating a really good donation page.
Exactly.
Them up, right? It is linking those up, and then that's more helpful to reach people that are just listening, right? That are spending time looking at websites and wanting to connect with people that are doing good work. That it's a way for them to be able to listen and then know how to engage when they know your story.
Exactly. And I know. I mean, I can imagine that it's hard. It's a very tough job because, our grantees are working hard all day, right, to their project. And then they have to sit down and, taking care of web page and social media and answer emails and send presentations. But I'm just, behind the monitor, like saying, go on, you have to do that. That's so important. Don't give up.
Right. Don't give up. Keep going. I think that's part of what, I think that's part of what I think is successful, and a pattern that I see that helps with success is when people say, today I want to give up. And then the rest, our community that we've grown, from staff to grantees to volunteers, are like, no, not today. It's not going to be today.
Exactly.
Yeah. And actually, on those days, I find that's, for me, the grantees that I engage with, the grantees that can find a way to tell their story on the days where they feel like giving up, like why, like what, what's going on with the project. It's usually not project. It's usually something about like the pace of a project, or they had a setback. But if they share their personal story within that, I find I become even more connected to them and their journey, and I want to support them and do whatever I can to help them. So sharing on those bad days, I guess what you would call a bad day, that's for me a really big pattern of success. So thank you. Jamila, do you want to jump in? What do you, what grantees inspire you over the years, and even applicants, from that, being the applicant advocate side of things? What stands out to you? If what's in that space for you?
Well, let's see. I mean, 'cause there's so many. And because I have interacted, with grantees, by being a grantee, by referring grantees, by connecting with grantees. So I know a lot of grantees, and then I used to be active with the social media and posting media. So the stories that always get to me, or always inspire me, or I always like to hear, are stories where you could really tell where our small support and our grant meant so much bigger to them than really the grant amount, and how their work or their community or their lives were kind of transformed. So, grantees that, really utilize the funds, or show us that, after they got the grant, they were able to connect the network and build more partnerships, and build community safety nets, really connect youth leaders. I'm always inspired by the projects that have anything to do with youth empowerment and engagement, and just those that have overcome the challenges head on, and use those challenges to come out better, a better leader, being better in service, and just those that have just pretty much dedicated their lives into, developing goodness in their community. So I don't have like a specific story, but those are kind of the grantees and that always inspire me.
I hear you kind of saying like there's a certain level of resilience to just know and actually maybe more faith of know you're doing good, and then just to keep going no matter what happens, and root into that goodness. That's really kind of that powerful stuff. Really powerful stuff. Thank you, Jamila.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we're getting close. We've got 15 minutes left. I just want to remind those that are listening in that if you have any specific questions for anyone here, please do ask them in the chat, and we'll ask them directly. And just so everybody knows as well, we post these video webinars and the transcripts on the Facebook group that we have, and we can answer specific questions there as well. Before we jump into any attendee questions or grantee questions, though, I have a few more for our staff panelists. And we've kind of gotten into this, but I'm going to ask the question in a different way. If you could share only one piece of advice to grantees and nothing else, just one thing, what would it be?
Like one word, because that's really hard. Or do you?
I know, not one word. Like one topic.
Yeah, well, I'll try to make this short because I know I talk too much, so I'm sorry about that.
No, you're fine. You're good.
So what I wanted to say, my piece of advice for everyone is ask yourself the question, why are you doing this? Like, there is an answer deep down and personal for everyone why we chose this line of work, which is it's going to be tough, and it's not for everyone. But there is a reason. That would be my advice, like remind yourself, why are you doing this? Because of course it's so much more easier just to go to a job where you don't really change the world. You just get a paycheck, you just get your money and you go home and you take care of yourself and but there is a reason why we've decided to step out of that and interact with the world and dare to try to change something. And I think that among the reasons we have on a personal level, I hope one of them is because we want to have meaning in our life. We want to live with meaning and purpose. And I find that one of the ways that you get to meaning and purpose is by building relationships with people. And so, my advice would be that, ask yourself why you're doing it, dig into those reasons. explore them, find happiness in them, find strength in them, and work on those relationships that will help you, help your project and help yourself also personally. And we hope that, TPP is one of those relationships that you count on. And if it's not, I think take this as an open invitation to continue to strengthen our relationship with you. That would be my advice to you all.
Thank you, Selene. Milena or Jamila, any one piece of advice?
Yeah. Well, again, for me, my advice would be tell stories, tell your story, and tell your story with words and images. A good image can go very, very, very far, and just allow your commitment, your passion, your vision to go into it and just tell stories. So the stories will create connections and will help project. That's my only piece of advice.
Thank you. Jamila.
Okay, advice. I would say the greatest advice that I could give a grantee is to take care of themselves and to make sure that in the long list of priorities that you have to do with your work and your organization and your people, make sure to put yourself first and not put yourself last, because leaders tend to put themselves last and burn out easier. So, always remember to take time out for yourself to think about your mental health, your physical health, and what you may need, because without you, your special piece of the work won't continue. You have the unique DNA and the special fingerprint for what you're doing. So if you don't take care of yourself, you can't continue to do it.
Wow. These are great. Thank you for that reminder. So we have take care of yourself. And I actually, we're going to do, hopefully within the next month or two, a whole webinar on self-care and balance. And I'm so appreciative of that reminder that you brought into this conversation, Jamila. And then Milena, tell your story, find a way to tell your story. And Selene, just, know your answer to why you do this. I think those are really good pieces of advice. And I think we could have a conversation on each one of those. And maybe we will. Maybe those will be the topics of our next few webinars. But in the meantime, we do have a few questions coming in. So Joshua, I want to bring in your voice and have you ask those questions that have come in from the attendees to our panelists.
All right, guys. I have a few questions here from some of our attendees. Rose asks, apart from the TPP reports, how would one continue communicating the success of the project and its goals? So,
social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, emails. I mean, just as Milena said, you have to share your stories, and we're on every platform because we want to hear. You can tag us. If you don't know how to tag us, if social media is an obstacle for you, let us know. Maybe we can figure out a way to do some basic social media 101 with TPP, where we can show you the tags that we use. We can show you it's a good way to grab people's attention about what you're posting, because there is a bit of a subtle art to it. That would be something I would suggest.
Very good. Anyone else have any suggestions on how people could share the successes of their project and maybe the goals as well?
You know, nothing for me, nothing more than Selene said. I mean, my point of view, I mean, social media and a website. I don't know if Rose has a website, but you know, it would be a very good thing to be able to engage visitors on the website, to engage in the project. I mean, you know, not only sharing stories, but also, you know, asking for support outside, or you know, yeah.
I have a question. I have a technical question. How about newsletters? How do you guys feel about newsletters? For a while, they were really hot stuff, and I don't hear that recommendation as much anymore.
So my opinion about newsletters is that it matters who you're sending it to. If you just send it out to everyone who's registered, I think that is okay. But it's also a missed opportunity. Even with the social media, Facebook, even and any other thing, Twitter, Instagram, or the newsletter, take 1 hour every week to see who is responding to your posts, who gave you a like, who responded when you sent out the newsletter, and try to create a relationship with that person. Do they want to volunteer? Is there something they think they can do wherever they are to help your project? So in a way, it's like, spend your energy and efforts on the people who are actually engaging with your posts or your newsletters, and build that relationship. And even if they say, "Oh, I really just like the I don't know, the art component of your project," make sure you send them special ones when you can, so that they are, "Oh, wow, that's so cool." So I think that there's also kind of like finding that balance between quantity and quality, and I think they both have a role to play. It's up to you as the project leader to be able to identify, when do I need to send something that is just quantity, like everyone gets this, it's just about mass communication, and when does it make sense, and when will my project benefit from individual context, or just sending something directly to someone who I've started a conversation with. How can they engage in the project? Because, you know, when you like something, when you like a report or a picture from a project, that means I'm invested. So maybe, if I don't even know, do you have volunteer opportunities? Is there a way that I can do something all across the other end of the world to bring awareness to your project? We don't know if we don't start that conversation. So all of this, all the ways that you can report your success, also see them as an opportunity to engage people, real supporters, real allies into the goals of your project.
That's all great stuff, Benny.
Yeah,
and I agree with Selene.
Me too. This is Nicole. And Rose, I just want to say too, just give you a shout out, because I definitely see all of your posts and follow your story. And I do want to, I think, on just a personal side of things, there's, like Selene was saying, interact with those that are interacting with you. And that's it's wonderful, wonderful advice. And I think it connects to what Jamila was saying about faith and resilience. It's also trusting that there are people listening. And for example, I might not respond, but I am listening, and I'm thinking about often who else is doing similar work. And when something comes up for me to connect you to someone where they can actually help you out a lot, I'm going to make that connection. But I'm not going to do those connections if they're not there. I'm not going to just make them up. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are wanting to do that, and they might not know how. So there's a level of of educating listeners for what you need, and then it might not be like an immediate need, but it's a long-term need. And I might dive into that in a different webinar as well, because I think it's a subtle thing to talk about in terms of communication. And so thank you. I think there's a spectrum there, but thank you, Rose. Josh, any more questions? We've got time for one more.
Well, I have another question here that's we have a person here, Shodo. She's explaining that her project's a bit hard to define and most of it isn't local.
Yeah.
She keeps seeing more and more that learning is needed, and she started teaching a little. She's looking, she explains, tangible results are a way in the future, Is there anything I could do for getting support? I can't quite define what her question is exactly asking for. Can you add a little definition of that, Shodo? Apparently she's looking.
Yeah, I've been talking with Shodo a little bit too. I think we see this a lot in TPP is you have an idea and your outcomes, like you start the work and the outcomes just may not be seen even in your lifetime. So it's hard to share a story when there's no tangible evidence. So I think the question might be is, do you have, Selene, Milena, Jamila, do you have any advice or any previous experience with similar grantees when they're working towards something that might not be resolved in their lifetime, or it's so new, it's pioneering, it's never been done before? How can you engage and help shift conversations and tell stories? Is there any advice that you guys can think of off the top of your head?
Well, I think this goes back to my advice of, first of all, asking why have you chosen to do a project where you know you will not see the results in your lifetime? And I hope the answer is because it's worth doing, because someone has to do it, because at some point it has to start. And if we think about these incredible things that humanity has done, like freed itself, even things like education for everyone, we can debate about the quality and access to education, but this idea that people deserve an education wasn't always in existence. And a long, long time ago, someone had to start that conversation, not knowing if it would ever come in their lifetime, but it was worth doing, you know? So in that sense, I would dig into that. I would share why it's worth doing with your audience, why it's so important that we do this, even if we don't see the fruit right away. But then I would also try to do fun things, such as, you know, is there a way to do some sort of like a virtual time capsule or a real-time capsule or something where what efforts are being done today can be shared with future generations later? Is there a way for you to talk to younger generations that will be spending still need 15 to 20 years before they can even engage in the issue, but you're engaging them now and sort of getting that generation started quicker? So that would be kind of my advice. Like, it's worth doing. If you've chosen to do something like, let's say, climate change or something that is just, you don't know when it's going to be solved, don't focus on that. Focus on the intention. Focus on how it's so worth doing for all those people you'll never meet, because someone did it for us. Someone that we don't know, never met, decided to voice or begin a conversation or do something valiant and brave so that we can live how we live today. So I would focus on that.
That's wonderful, Selene. I want to give, we're at the top of the hour. I want to give Milena and Jamila a chance to kind of answer that question and or just add in some final thoughts and words before we say goodbye for today.
Okay, this is Jamila. I'll go. So I would say just the biggest commodity that you could have is a relationship. So, you know, we still have to just break everything down to relationships that we create and people that we talk to and connect with. And it really is about, utilizing each other for our strengths and shared resources. So the more you can share resources and connect with people, they might have a weakness in a certain area that you are strong in, and you may be able to give them support in that area. And then they may have something that they can support you with. So the more that you can network and talk and communicate and connect with people and share resources and, have something to offer, and also look for people, that have something to offer to bring to your table. I think that is the only way things will continue to grow. It all matters on, the people and the people that are connecting and working with each other. So just continue to connect with everyone that you can. Continue, even if you don't feel like talking about your project or your program, and just talk about it, wherever you go. Just talk about it as if you're breathing, and, every breath, is about your life's work and what you're doing. And, it's the law of averages. 9 people might not care, but the 10th person might care, and they might be the person that will donate, or they might be the person that has a facility to rent out to you, or some funding that they can share with you. So, just keep sharing the work that you're doing.
Yeah, and I wanted to add to that. I think we have to remember, we as people, we are not necessarily rational people. We are an emotional people. So most of the times why we do things has to do with an emotion that is attached to it, and not simply, well, this just makes sense, it's logical. So especially for things that are not very, very long term, and people who are dreamers about an idea, the emotion is something I think you should explore and see how that can help you bring in, as Jamila said, resources, which are so vital.
Yeah, for me the same. I mean, I agree with Jamila and with Selene. Just share. You're not alone. We are not alone, and we cannot just think to bring everything by ourselves. Others are there to help, to be in support, and just keep on sharing and look for people who can just, who are looking for something that we have. And, so that's it. And the only thing I would like to add is my deep, deep, deep gratitude to all of you and to all of our grantees. Really, really thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Big gratitude for everyone. We are 5 minutes over, and so I'm gonna close us out real quick. Thank you, Joshua, for kind of holding us behind the scenes so much. Always, not just on this call, but always. With as Milena said, some of us aren't in direct contact with grantees, and I think between the two of you, you're just helping us all do a really good job, and thank you both for that. And to Jamila and Selene and Milena, just thank you for all that you do, not just with TBP, but in your local communities and with your families and friends. All of you are just inspiring in your unique ways, and there are lots of golden nuggets from this call that I can't wait to kind of put out to the bigger community. And I'm gonna forward to our final slide. Next steps. We're gonna post this. The recording and a transcript on our grantee Facebook page, and I'll also link it to our next email that goes out. For all of those of you that attended, I will send out a short little evaluation form to help us pick topics in the future and get some feedback. And before we leave, though, I would like to ask Selene Jamila and Milena, is there anything that as a community we can do to support you in your any work, TPC or otherwise?
I mean, you did a great job today, Nicole, putting this all together, getting the conversation started. I mean, me, Jamila, Milena, we're in our own worlds doing everything, and we didn't even have to think about planning. You did such a great job, so thank you so much. What you do is very helpful.
Oh, thanks.
Yes, thank you, Nicole. Nothing else.
I'm going to send out links to Jamila for you specifically too. And if any of you have a cause that you're really tied to or your own organization, I'm going to send out links so people can follow it on social media too, just so we can help support each other. And with that, a big thank you. And for those of you that are going to go to bed soon, good night. Those of you that have a long day in front of you, I hope it's a really great one. And we'll be in touch soon. And thank you all grantees for attending from all over the world. We're so appreciative of you and your time, and hope that these webinars are supportive in your work going forward. And if you need anything, reach out and we'll see what we can do. Thank you all.